Bruh! What's up? Welcome back to the JDM Imported Podcast. We are on episode 17 today. I'm your host, Dante Prinzo, owner, operator of Elusive Auto Company. And again, my journey continues for the growth of this business. Today, let's just get right into it. I was really excited to record this one. And you know what? That's a redundant theme. I say that every time. I mean it every time. I'm not just saying that to appease people, but I was really looking forward to this one because we're not going to talk much about JDM cars. So if that's what you tuned in for, I'm just going to let you know now, your time's valuable. If you want to hear about, RB20s, RB26s, what things are going for, what the market is on Fairladies right now, Chasers, I'm not going to cover that in this episode. I want to keep true to the mantra of this podcast, which is really what's going on with me right now in the growth of this business. We're not going to get crazy personal, but I'm going to roll some things in because I think it's helpful for those of you listening, hoping to get something out of this, more so than car talk. I think this will be a great episode for you. I really do. If you're thinking about starting a business, if you're starting one now and it's a little rough and you don't know what the future holds, or if you just want to gather some data to even figure out what you want to do, or if you work in your 9-to-5 and you have been for decades, and this is just kind of a nice escape to fantasize, even if you don't even have any plans of changing. Nothing wrong with that. Came to the right place because that's what we're going to hit on today. The topic of today, quite simply, is failure. So we're going to get into some things going on with me right now, the business, some of my thoughts, but of course, as always, I want to start off by just with what's going on with the business. So, as you know, if you've been listening, I've been importing cars. Things have picked up a bit for importing cars for other people. The consulting service. So I'm going to stick with that. That was like something I was trying, and I didn't know how it would work. And this is, maybe a good lesson. Maybe you can learn something from this. I was trying. I don't want to say it's not a new model because other companies do it, but I think with my approach, my hands-on approach, it was a little bit of a new model because there's a lot more time vested rather than just, let's have a call, let's talk about what you like, and I'll kind of like if you're looking for a house, let me put you on the MLS listing, and you'll just get pinged every time something, within the parameters you gave me hits. I wasn't sure if my personal approach was worth it for me, to be honest, because it's a lot of time. There's really no expiration. If someone signs up for the consulting service, it's not like, hey, you have 90 days to find something. If it takes 5 months, it's 5 months. If we win something on the first try, that's great. But it's kind of like sometimes it's definitely not worth it for me because I'll get somebody that's really looking for something particular. We'll bid on a lot of cars. And that's why, not to sound jaded at all, but that's why I think I'm at the point where I can be a little more selective, so if people are just looking for a deal or a project car, this isn't the stop for you. If you're looking to find a good deal, especially in the competitive market of buying JDM cars, you will be looking for a long time and you will miss out car after car by like $100, and it's frustrating and it uses up a lot of my time. It uses up a lot of my guys' time in Japan, who's really kind of goes above and beyond, and that's just what I expect for cars that I bring in, and that's what I expect for my clients as far as inspecting, looking cars over. And I don't charge for inspection. I don't charge for translation, of sheets. So again, with some people, it's a good deal for me. I get paid. They're happy. They get their thing. It doesn't take too long. With others, it's if you start looking at things from an hourly approach, it's not really conducive to good business. But this is going to be a mainstay. I think I've gone through like a 6-month period since I've kind of soft rolled this out, just mentioned it on the podcast, and really haven't done much social media and marketing for it. But I think it's going to be a mainstay, and I think it's really servicing a need for people that want that have the patience to wait for something. Because yes, I get so many requests where yeah, I really need something like now. Well, it's coming on a boat, so now's not an option. Even if we find something today, you're 4 or 5 weeks away from it, And I tell people it's usually 2 or 3 months, depending on how selective you are and what you're looking for. If you're looking for a skyline, yeah, I'd say 2 months. It shouldn't take too long, maybe a couple weeks to find it. And, it's 4 weeks on a boat, and I always give a little bit of buffer time because I rather over deliver. But yeah, so I'm going to stick with this. This is going to be an offering, and that's something I've learned. I mean, again, I've gone through a couple different things where I've tested, and I'm like, not even a mental note. I mean, I have everything spreadsheeted. I'm like, okay, yeah, this isn't going to work for the business because as you're trying to find your identity and separate yourself, it's you have to try some things, and you have to be okay with them failing, and not letting that hold you back from even starting, right? From even mentioning it, saying like, well, no one else is offering it, there must be a reason why, or, oh, so-and-so at whatever garage said it's a pain in the ass and it's not worth it. They've been through it. So I ask people everything. I go to businesses. I mean, for my, and maybe you can pull something from this, for my detailing business, I mean, I think I'm pretty good at it, but yeah, I haven't been in the game for like 30 years. There's a guy down the street that has, with a gorgeous shop, beautiful showroom, all kind of stuff in it. And he's been a wealth of knowledge. And technically I'm a competitor, but I'm like, hey, to be upfront with you, I'm going to be moving. So yes, I'm a competitor, but not really for too long. I'm going to be going to Pittsburgh. So it's been a wealth of knowledge, and all I had to do was ask. It's kind of awkward at first. It's not like, if you have a restaurant next door to another restaurant, like you go over there and like ask them about, hey, let's talk about like what's working for you with your business. Like it's kind of awkward for people, but why? Why? I mean, we talk to people all the time in line to fill up a void. If we don't have our heads buried in our phone, it's uncomfortable to be quiet, in an elevator, and and there's all these uncomfortable moments that just kind of pass and you don't get anything out of them. You're just kind of filling up space. Why not use some of that uncomfortable feeling for some good, I mean, so what? So what if someone tells you to kick rocks? Okay, great. I haven't lost anything. And I wouldn't even say any self-respect, because I'm like, if somebody doesn't want to talk about business and be open and want to kind of grow their community, which in turn grows them, I don't know. I mean, if you're not confident enough with what you do to say anything, to share your trade secrets with somebody, because trust me, I've had people say kick rocks. Why would I tell you like what's working for me, correcting jags right now? Why would I tell you? Like, that's private. Like, how the hell is that private? I can go up on YouTube and find it, but I'd like to talk to someone, have some human interaction. So, and I've, luckily enough, great culture around here. I'm really going to miss that about North Carolina. The car scene is sick. Side note, I saw Von Gitten's Ford GT the other day, the drifter for Formula D, because he has his shop in Mooresville, which is like right up the street. And I forget this shit, like all the time. And then I just turn into like silly fanboy, 36-year-old with child seats in the back, be like, yeah. I mean, whatever. But I digress, as always. So yeah, I mean, so just a little background on what's been going on lately and what's been working for me. And asking has been working for me. It really has, because I'm as solo as you can get on this. No partners, no mentors, no business coaching, no investors, nothing. Like, it's 100% all the way me, and the only way I can do it really is because I've just an awesome support, like my wife. I mean, she's amazing, that she's even cool with me doing this, puts, now let's be straight up. I mean, starting a business puts strain on loved ones. Starting a business puts strain on yourself, financial strain, time, effort, keeping that energy level up while still trying to maintain a level of work that is way beyond a 9 to 5, way beyond. I mean, not even that you're actively engaged, that it's always on your mind, just always thinking about it. I just went through, and this might be another fail. I think something I get ahead of myself for. I get ahead of where the business is in, buying stuff better suited for like a mid-size or a more established business. For instance, CRM. So, CRM program essentially is like the database for your customers and controls your business and your inventory and whatever. I bought one, not that expensive. I think it's like $130 a month. It's a cloud-based service, but still it's $130 a month, and I had that on top of, whatever I pay in podcast hosting and what I pay for my BBB, Better Business Bureau credit, because that just recently happened. They're going to post it on my website and stuff. That's that's a whole nother thing. I don't know if it's worth it, but I think people like to see it. It's like $35 a month. Why not? But all those things add up to hundreds of dollars that when you're working really hard and you're really scrapping, it's hard to validate. And I think sometimes I get ahead of myself where, do I need the CRM now? No, I don't have any employees. It's not hard for me to keep track, but I think it gets things started on the right foot. It does save me some time with like putting customer information in, notes, the calendar function, automated text reminders, stuff like that. Like all these things I did manually. They don't take long, but I guess it adds up. So time will tell. Am I being silly that I even have this? Probably, for a just me company, but whatever. We'll see. But, so, learn from me there. I mean, you take your shots at stuff, you try it. If it works for you, great. My thing is I never sign long-term contracts. So, if this turns out to be a pain in the ass and I'm just hemorrhaging money for no reason, cut it loose. And I think that ties in nicely with really with the topic of today, which is failure. So, if you've listened to past episodes, the last episode particularly, you'll know that I was studying for a customs broker exam. It's really hard to pass. Obviously, I don't think there's any suspense in me saying this, but I didn't pass it. No, I didn't bomb it, but I didn't come close to the point where, you're allowed to protest certain questions. If it was a low percentage rate of, the right answers, you can protest stuff and maybe you can get it. And usually that's if you're like 1, 2, maybe at 4 at most away from passing. So we'll just say like, it wasn't even worth me protesting. And quite honestly, like I don't even care. Like I'd rather just kind of pass it on my own accord than this months. I mean, cause it's months of you like proving, them disproving, you reproving. You could go back and forth, I think 3 times on a question, and it could take longer than the duration between the tests, which is 6 months. So you might be like signed up for another test while you're still waiting for the one question that was a bogus one to get reverted. So, if I was close 1 or 2, absolutely, I'd be fighting like crazy, but not worth it. Here's what I learned. I kind of pride myself on rolling with stuff, having thick skin, right? I mean, my professional career has always been in sales. I mean, if you can't take no, if you can't take failure, you last months, not, years. I mean, almost 2 decades. But what I learned was I'm still not, even though I think I have a thick skin, I'm still not immune to just being bummed out. Man, like, I mean, I knew 20 minutes into that test, all this studying, and I mean, it was like every night, 12, 1 in the morning. I see my, and I'll tie this in later, but I see just my kind of activity and the noise that I'm making out there and any kind of social stuff is kind of ground to a halt. Not that I didn't have time, because I think time's a bullshit excuse. I mean, you can make time. It's just where you choose to allocate it. And I just chose not to allocate on anything really building my business because it was just supreme focus on, I'm detailing cars a day. I'd service any customers that were bringing cars in, anything at night, and it was all on studying. And it's, 5 or 6, I don't know how many thousand pages of material. Not that you have to memorize it, it's open book, but you need to know it hard, like real good. because the time is a bitch with that test. It's just, you have 4.5 hours, and that's just not enough time unless you really know where to find stuff. And a lot of stuff is in 3 different places, and you can end up spending 20 minutes to find the exact verbiage you're looking for. And if it's not exact, you're screwed. So, but yeah, so I was bummed out, and I had that sense of failure, and I was like, God damn it, this, I busted my ass for this super hard. And even though I knew the pass rates are very low, I mean, a lot of the tests are in the single digits, some in the low teens. I mean, it varies depending on how hard the questions are, but it's, it's the lowest of a standard test like that, a government-issued test in the country. So, am I silly for getting my hopes up? Of course not. Screw that. Of course I wasn't silly. If I didn't believe I was going to pass it, how the hell am I going to study until 1 in the morning every night, think about it all the time, while I'm detailing cars, listening to seminars and homework talks on the curriculum I'm taking? I mean, it's like, no. I mean, you have to be naive to a certain point. You have to be ignorant, and I was ignorant to think that I could pass something first try that, people that have been in the industry have trouble passing it after multiple tries. So, yeah, let me walk you through it a little bit. So, I get to the test, talk to some people beforehand, and they are, most of which in the industry already. There's some lawyers that need it for whatever reason. And I don't think I talked to anyone else that was taking it for the first time. So let's just say that psyched me out a little bit. Getting into it, my confidence was like, pew. But I was all right with it. I mean, I didn't have like the fancy rack system that they all had, so they can reference through their books faster. But we don't need to talk about this forever. But suffice it to say, I get like 20 minutes into it. It's not going to happen. Like, I knew it. So finish it out, whatever. But I had some really good conversations that, I mean, and this again goes to like asking, to just talking. And I'm like, dude, like, you're all on this solo tip, right? This solo, like, man, I'm like, no one's helping me with the company. I'm doing it all myself. And proud of that, which I shouldn't be. It's stupid. I need to ask for help more. And, same with the studying. I'm like, yeah, screw this. I can conquer it. There's all these brokers out there saying they've taken it 4 times. I'm like, I'm going to crush this shit. I got my study guide and all that stuff, and I'm going to do... Yeah, so whatever. I didn't. But it's just, talking to some of these people that have been through it, been in the industry, it's kind of like when you learn a language. And you can learn it contextually, right? You can learn it through the textbooks, but, everyone always says, and I am no authority on this, I know nothing about any language. I can barely do, count to 10 in Spanish. But, you always hear that practice or talking to people in that tongue, the native speakers, helps, is a paramount improvement over where you start from. And I kind of found that to be true because so much of this is like verbiage, legal verbiage, and just like mixed in with theory, but factual. And I mean, it helps so much. I mean, these little conversations I had with people, I'm like, oh, I'm going about this wrong. Like, I'm just buried in the books. And yeah, I needed that for a foundation. But I think, cat out of the bag, I'm signing up for the next one. Like, whatever. I'm over it now. I have 6 months to prepare for the October one. I'm just going to, listen, I'm vested. If it takes 5 times, whatever. This is something that now that I know, and this references back to the consulting portion, bringing in cars for people, helping them get them legal, all of this stuff. And then being able to offer that service where it's like, screw dealing with the outside brokers that maybe don't know everything or aren't as like on point with communication because you're just another person, not their customer per se. You are, but you know what I mean? They're going through such a litany of different customers, bringing in so many different things. Someone's importing soaps, someone's importing, shirts, someone's importing cars. Like, it all has its own specialty. And one thing I learned from people, it's like, some people that work for these companies, it's kind of like the difference between like a general practitioner doctor, you know, and like an orthopedist, right? Like you wouldn't go, or like an oncology specialist, you know what I mean? Like you wouldn't just go to the doctor that treats, you know, flus and kind of common colds and stuff if, you know, you need your cancer treated, or if you broke your foot or your spine is missing. Like you have a specialist. And that's kind of how it is, although not on that scale. No, I'm not saying customs brokers save lives. They're just another thing that kind of gets in the way. But that's the best analogy I can think of. You know, they all have their specialties because there's so much to know. There's thousands of pages on textiles and clothes. So, I mean, you need to tell me someone that works for a produce importer, and then you call them like, hey, I need this blazer, and it's a mixture of 3 different types of fabrics. It's a 6-panel, mismatching pants and top. Can it be classified as... I mean, it's like you have to learn a new language, right? So that made me feel good because I'm like, listen, if this is all I do, like I don't really plan on importing bananas. I plan on importing cars and continuing to do so. So, you know, hopefully it'll help me carve out a niche. It'll help with that program that I'm running now to, you know, it'll be even more seamless. You know, I think it's fairly seamless now, but just with me and, you know, who knows, maybe even bringing cars in for other importers because, again, I'm not scared of competition. I don't really care. As I've said before, the more the merrier, you know, until the bubble bursts, and then it's never going to go away. It's the best ones are going to be steadfast, and the other ones are just going to dissipate, and that's fine. You know, if you do good business, I think good things happen and you'll have longevity. So, and I think I practice good business, you know, so that's what's going on with that. And I'll tell you, it's it's a failure, right? I mean, I failed a test. But, you know, I'm 36 now. You know, when did I start this? Like last year, the business, maybe a year and a half. Yeah, I feel like it's been like a year and a half since I started this business, right? Super amateur, absolutely. I'm still wet behind the ears, naive in a lot of things, although I think I'm a quick study. But one thing I hope you take away from this episode is, man, it's that scare, you know, the being scared of failing, having that run and kind of dictate how you do things, decisions you make, things you shy away from. It's I mean, it's a real thing, and I think it's something that's present in almost everyone. But it's something that's not it's not in the front of your mind. You know, it's one of those things that's present, and sometimes it just takes someone to point something out or something bad happening for you to be like, listen, like, what did I learn from that? You know, how did I get better from this failure? Sometimes it just takes maturity, you know. Sometimes people never bounce back from it, and they just get bummed out, and it just changes the trajectory of their life. But you know, I'm one that really believes that, I can control my destination. I'm not one for excuses. I think that's healthy. It definitely adds to the stress level because there's a lot of comfort in excuses and blaming other people. So I get that. I mean, there's a lot of comfort in that. Sometimes I wish I had maybe a little balance of that, but I don't. And so it all falls squarely on me. And, you know, with this test that just came up, I mean, I'm like, what did I do wrong? Am I wasting my time? Is this like a total pipe dream? You go through all those, but, you know, you always hear people say, you know, not to let fear of failure run you. And I don't know if I agree with that because you need to acknowledge it, right? So like I've gotten way better at acknowledging it. I think I used to just sweep it under the rug, right? Be like, well, it's just me being me. Another tried at effort, job, whatever it is, not working out. I mean, just like with the with recruiting. I recruited for years and years, and I was with this company down here for 7, almost 8 years, and I shouldn't have been. And why was I? Because I knew that I had a better chance of success there than doing this dream of mine. God, I hate calling it a dream, because it's fucking reality, right? Like, dreamers are dreamers, but it's like, if you're actually doing something, it's like, it's not a passion, it's not a dream, it's just life, it's just a decision, it's a path I chose, and now I'm making it work. I don't really believe in all that like superficial, do what you love, dream job. I mean, it's not a dream. I'm present and current right now. I'm living in reality. So yeah, some days are trash and some days are, I'm so glad I'm doing it, but it's that balance. And I think that, one thing I've learned in my constant need for, I think appeasing, family, and really, let's be honest, no one really put that pressure. This is just something I kind of created, right? Like, I kind of created like, oh, I need to have a certain persona, right? So people are like proud to say stuff about me, talk about me, so at the family updates, everyone gets together you haven't seen in years. It's like you have a sweet title, I don't necessarily think anyone cared as much as I did. But like in my mind, it was like, oh, it was a must, Woo, I can't be talking about washing cars. Come on now. Everyone's like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do with my options and my stocks and stuff. And it's like, I can't be talking about wrenching on cars on my back. So it was always like a hobby. And I suppressed it for too long. I mean, we're talking, I'm 36 now, but, I started this business at 35. 35! Yeah, I had to mature. I think, to all you out there that are really young and you're trying to figure out what you're doing, just keep this in mind. You do need to be cognizant of timing, and sometimes you do need to be patient. If you're you got to be looking in the mirror, dead stare, super honest with yourself that you are mature enough to handle, to not pass blame, and to take all of the responsibility. And it's like totally cool if you're 20 and you can't say yes to that. Because I couldn't have, like, if I did this at 20, like 6 months and, I would have maxed out credit cards and I would have been like, this business is a crock of shit. There's no way anyone makes money. Anyone that has a successful business just had daddy give it to them. Like, I would have been like that kid, and it's, it took me a while to mature. That being said, I could have started this 5 years ago. And I should have. Really, when I look back, if I started 5 years ago, especially with the trajectory of everything, man, things would be pretty good right now. But I didn't. So what am I going to do? Beat myself up? Think about it? No. It's done. Again, I'm not dreaming. I'm current, present, and this is what I'm doing right now. I can't change anything that happened in the past or didn't happen. And a lot of that was just the fear of failure, because no one wants to say that, like, yeah, I'm following my passion. This is my job. I'm going to leave something that I know I can do, and I'm going to do this thing that's super cool. And no one wants to then say to like their parents, their loved ones, their family, their friends, like, yeah, I wasn't really good at it, because let's be real. When you're working for somebody, it could be, there was layoffs or, the market or, the boss or the coworker. There's just a lot of things that we can deflect to, but not when you're starting a business. And I think that's what held me back, because I'm like, if I do this and it doesn't work, like I will have so much spite and anger for any essence, any hint of I told you so from anyone. I would have lost my shit, and I had to get to a place where I truly, not just saying it because it's like the fad in business talk right now, it's like, don't let others dictate your future. Blah. yeah, easier said than done, unless you're truly believe, you can't like will yourself to say their opinion doesn't matter. Screw it. Say what you want. I don't hear it. I don't hear it. Social media, I don't care. Delete the comment. Of course you do. And you can't force yourself to. It's just it's just a certain time in your life, experiences you have to go through, certain sense of maturity. Some people have it at 18. Some people don't get it ever. For me, like my 30s probably is when I started getting to that point. And if I'm really being honest, as much as I say, I should have started this 5 years ago, I don't think it's until, I don't know, maybe a year or so after my daughter was born, my second kid, that I started really getting that like, fuck you, I don't care what you think type mentality. It took a while. So let's just say 33 was my maturation date, and I'm still working on it, but let's be real. So I can say that until I'm blue in the face, but in reality, maybe it wouldn't have worked because I would have let that fear of failure dictate decisions, rather than saying, oh, you know what? Because it's incremental things, right? It's not the business failing. It's trying something within a business and like the ad campaign didn't work. And people are like, well, I told you, there's some bullshit. Can't spend some money on Facebook. It's stupid, or like you do an ad in a diner for the, placemats or the shopping carts or whatever that you're like, oh, someone sells you on and you believe in it. Then try it, That's the only reason why I think I've kind of accelerated my learning through this in the last year and a half is from just trying stuff. And like, yeah, most of it doesn't work, but I acknowledge it quickly so it doesn't kill me and I move on from it. So acknowledge, ignore, move on. Blah! Yeah, that was like one of the, I hate to say it, but it's like all this sales training that I took like when I was younger and stuff, like, some of it has a place. I still say that. I remember that. Silly, aim, acknowledge, ignore, move on. But it's so true. Like it wasn't until I started acknowledging my failures instead of like it's someone else's issue or the computer sucks or my video camera's no good or whatever. It's not until I acknowledge why, i.e. me, and then ignoring, I could have maybe thought of a better moniker, but let's just, I don't think you should bury stuff. But after you acknowledge it, ignoring, I kind of look at is like you put it in the past. And then move on. You move forward. So, to be honest with you, super corny, and I can't believe I'm recording this, but yeah, it's it's like words to live by. It's something that I think of pretty much with every incremental change I make to my business, whether it's trying the CRM, whether it's, spending money on an ad on a shopping cart, in grocery stores, which that's stupid. No one looks at those. But, I get caught up in the hype. Whatever. I tried it, done, move on. Now I know. You put that in the bank that you never do it again. And that's fine. It's fine. Maybe I find that, I'm sure I'm going to find that out with many other things, but it's the only way that I think I've pinned down a pretty solid foundation thus far with the process in which I import cars for me to resell, the process in which I import cars for others, and the process in which I detail and run the business. And I'm still, I'm doing a lot of learning there. A lot of it, and maybe you guys, and this is going to go back to asking, because I think, that's something I've always had trouble with, but maybe you guys can help me out with this is, well, not maybe. Help me out with this. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm trying to think of a good way to put this. I'm looking for like, what do I want the identity to be? Because we're getting closer to the move, right? And just to backtrack quickly, if you haven't been listening to all the episodes, I'm in North Carolina now, family and I, my wife and my 2 kids, we are going to relocate back to Pittsburgh. And that is when I'm going to be, looking for a brick and mortar and really rolling things out. It's an official business now. It has been, but it's e-commerce. I'd like to have a brick and mortar. Not for huge inventory, but just a place, one for, specialized detailing services that people can come to, 2, a nice little showroom area for the cars, for pictures, for demos, whatever. to put on events. I mean, it's rent out the shop space, car storage, and maintenance. I mean, it's like I have a lot that I think I can do with a space, even if it's not what's like the sexiest, but I don't really care about that. It's like what's going to help my vision grow, and being okay with the vision maybe getting deflected here and there, or let's just say guided in a different direction, kind of like a stream. Like I'm never going to build a dam, but I can redirect the flow, and I'm open to that. Like whatever, it's as many tributaries as it takes to get to the ocean, and like I'm cool with it. If it's maybe I get a shop bigger than need be, renting out for some shop space for people to work on their cars or storage, which I think that could be a good thing. I mean, it's definitely a service offered for Highline cars now. I'm trying to see if it's feasible to offer it, because again, it can't be too expensive, because no one's going to spend like $1,000 a month to store, their Aristo, or I don't even know why I'm using that, because it's like how many right hand, or like their S2000, or you know what I mean? Like I get it, but I mean in Pittsburgh, people do have garages, not a ton, especially in, closer to the city. Garage space is at a premium, and people usually have more cars, because if you do have an S2000, chances are you have like a Nissan Sentra or an old WRX or something to drive in the wintertime, or truck. Like that's just nature of the beast. If you have a Corvette, that's not your only car, because you can only drive it, 6 months out of the year. So, maybe a storage, but can I do it, have it be cost effective so I make money, so it pays for the space it uses in the shop, but also, offers a valuable service to someone, more so than like, hey, park it in the back of the shop, but like, battery tender, detailing services, even like, fluids, things like that. I mean, I don't want to get into like a maintenance shop, but stuff like that to kind of maintain cars, roll them every once in a while, flat spots, check tire pressure. I mean, there's a lot that goes into really making sure that a car, when it's sat for 3 months, that you can just turn the key and it lights right up, hooking up exhaust ports and stuff like that so I can start them periodically throughout the winter, all that. But anyways, another thing I'm looking at, and if it works, great. Locked in, that's part of the foundation. That is another brick. And if it doesn't, it's the brick's cracked, I throw it in the trash and I'll never think about it again. So, so I'm thinking about identity, and I mean, this stuff, you can't really help me with identity with my ideas, right? Because I'm like all over the place. But what you guys can help me with is identity for the type of cars. Because realistically, and this is not my goal either, is I don't strive to be Duncan Imports, right? I don't strive to have 200 plus cars in inventory, or bring in, 40 cars a month. So I don't strive for that type of volume, because with that volume, I said this early in the podcast, early in the episodes, but I just don't believe, from my observation, with high volume, you can retain high customer service. And I really want that to be a focus, to have an experience for everyone that I want. And it might not be the most lucrative, but I mean, let's be real. Yes, I want to make some money. So if that means having 2 separate locations, but keep small batches instead of like this huge superstore where, you need to have all these employees, no one really knows anything about the cars specifically because there's just too many coming in and out. I think I can maybe get to a level of success, but also keep that small, intimate experience that I would want to have. Because none of these cars are like, oh, I just need something to get me to work. The commute's 15. Like, let's be real. Like, people daily them, absolutely. But they're cars with more mystique, more nostalgia, and it should be more of an experience. It should be fun. So, in light of that, my long prelude to the actual ask, what do you think should be the batch of cars I focus on? Should it be 3 choices here? And DM me, email me. I mean, really, you guys have been great with, anytime I ask for feedback, I usually get a decent response. So again, it's at Elusive Auto Co. on social, or Dante at elusiveautoco.com. 3 choices. Choice number 1. should I focus on clean highline? We'll just say that way. So A is your clean highline, really clean RX-7s, low mileage Supras, NSXs, and just basically in GTRs, and not just expensive cars, but just like really clean, minty examples that, like, if there's paint work that needs done, like I get the whole thing resprayed. You know what I mean? New tires. I mean, like that special service where it's like new brakes, new tires. They will be more expensive than you will find out there, but like better sorted. So more expensive, better sorted. Highline. That's A. B, kind of your everyday JDM. Nice condition, not over the top. If the brakes and tires pass, they pass. Don't need new stuff. Some paint work here and there, but we're not looking for full-on paint correction. 8 to 12 hours of polishing on the cars, not re-dyeing the carpets, and you know what I mean. Not taking that level of restoration to get it like show car ready as the A's. So B would be kind of your more run-of-the-mill, not run-of-the-mill, still nice, but like average condition. Skylines, RX-7s, Fairladies, Aristos, blah, blah, blah. Chasers, all of that. That'll cover a lot more, but there's a lot of people in that space. And if I'm not doing a lot of cars, this is something keep in mind before you answer. I'm not looking to have a huge inventory someday. I'm not looking to have, I want a nice focus batch that when I do make enough noise, people are like, oh, yeah, that's the guy with like the clean Supras. Okay, that's where you go for like these cars, or that's where you go for the obscure stuff. So A, super clean highlines. B, average condition, nice cars in kind of that medium price range. And again, I'm not going to offer an option for like project cars. We've gone over that. It's not worth it to you. It's not worth it to me because there's too much risk in there of people saying you sold me something bad. So I just not getting into cars with blown motors and, stuff like that. Maybe some shells for people for like race teams, but, okay. And then C, the third option, the obscure, and we'll just leave it at that. The place that you can find more sunny trucks, more Cosmos, more K cars, the cars that we've never had, not the icons, but the interesting, the classic cars. And maybe even, some classic Skylines or classic Cosmos. They're expensive, but just the ones that you don't see as much. So that's it. A, B, or C. Let me know. Let me know what you think. I mean, Highline, super clean, kind of show ready, a lot of prep work for A. Stuff that you find pretty much anywhere for B, but covers it all. Or C, a niche, like this is where you come for the weird shit. So, at Elusive Auto Co. on social, Dante at elusiveautoco.com. Let me know what you think, because this is, as I'm planning this move, I need to get this stuff geared up. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be immediate. I'm not going to all of a sudden fly to Japan and get 10 cars. I don't have that type of money, but I want to get some stuff. And when I do get some more cars, when I'm set there, I want to have a theme, and this goes to, kind of the next thing with making noise, which I've been doing a terrible job at. And you know what? Another ask. Listen, I'm not bashful. Tell me, send me an email and say you asked too much this episode. It was annoying. It was like a pitch. Listen, I'm just trying to be super transparent and honest with you guys. And this is, I'm being honest about my failures, and I'm being honest about, because of this studying for the brokerage exam, I have totally taken a back seat to making any kind of noise, posting on forums, posting on Facebook groups, posting in general. And that needs to stop. That is terrible, because without noise, I don't care how many 5-star reviews I have. No one finds me. No one knows of me. Who cares? And I think I've kind of taken that mentality because I'm like, well, I can't import cars in Charlotte anymore. I can't really do anything until I move to Pittsburgh. But yeah, I'm selling, the consulting thing. I think I could be much busier with that. had I spent more times and if I spent more time making some noise, and I think it's time well spent because moving to a new shop, I don't want to wait until I'm there and it's painted and the floors are in and there's some cars and then it's like, okay, like where are the emails? Where are the texts? Where are the customers? What's up? I need to get ahead of that. And I've been bad at it. And quite honestly, it's one of those things, man. It's like stretching. It's like working out. When you're in the rhythm, it's fine. You do it every day. You don't even think about it and it makes you feel good. You get out of it and you're just like, oh man, I forgot. Like I haven't posted anything in a week and I think this podcast gives value, but I want to bring more value. And sometimes that's textual. But I mean, let's get textual. If that's posting on groups, blogs, whatever. Maybe I should make a blog. But I need to allocate more time. And if anyone listening can help me, I'd appreciate it. I've had like offers and then nothing kind of happens after that. Maybe it's my fault. I don't know. But I feel like they reach out and then I follow up and then it's just like, well, let me know what you need. It's like, I don't know what do you think? What do you think I need? So yeah, if any of you listening have suggestions, can help me out. No, this is like, look at this as like a case study, an internship, whatever, if you want to use me as a case study, so, this isn't like a high paying, I need to hire a marketing professional type thing because that's just not where I need to be putting my money right now, but I do need to be putting some time and emphasis on it. So, hit me up, if you have any suggestions of how I can make a little more noise, well, a lot more noise. I just want to get noisy so people know of me, even if it's a little premature. Let me know, whether it's website, social, suggestions, ways you can help. It's all good, man. Hook it up. But anyways, that's my final ask. But yeah, man, I hope that you guys got some stuff out of just me, just kind of sharing my views on failure. None of it's earth shattering. If you listen to like business speakers, TED Talks, you've heard it all. And basically, as with music, everything's been said already in the business world. It really has. Like there are no new melodies anymore on business talk because it is such a trend to be an entrepreneur and there's money in it, so therefore there's experts on it. As with everything, I am the furthest thing from an expert, but I can be a window for you to look through. I could show you some stuff, just that I've been through. Either follow me, don't follow me, but this is what I did, how it worked. And yeah, and those are the big things. So don't put pressure on yourself if you're young and you feel like you should be ready to take this responsibility and you're not, because if you're not ready, don't do it. I don't care what others are doing, or if you think the market on whatever thing you're trying to get into, you think it is a bubble, you shouldn't be getting into it anyway. And yes, timing matters to an extent if you're inventing something, but if you're doing something that's out there, it's going to be out there. And if you do it well, you'll be fine, as long as you have realistic expectations. Like like this importing the JDM cars, like this isn't a fad. Like I think just because socially it's, videos, YouTubers, big names with a lot of following started doing it. It's like, oh, this thing's blowing up. People have been importing cars since, well, I don't have the dates in front of me, but the last episode, whenever they passed that 25-year rule, 25-year rule act for importing cars, this was past late 80s? I can't remember. Don't quote me, but listen to the last episode. You'll hear it. I go in detail on that. But yeah, nothing's new. Warehouses have been importing Mitsubishi parked cars, trucks, little movers for decades. People have been importing Datsuns, all this stuff. It's gotten more on the mainstream vibe just because of the types of cars that are legal since in the last 5 years. But it's always been there, and then there's going to be more stuff legal. So I'm not worried about it going away, and I think you should think of that with whatever industry you're into. It's, if you want to be a social media marketer, it's not going to die. It's not a fad, and it's not like if you don't start today, you're going to miss the boat. Like, you've already missed the boat. Like, it started. So take your time, pull in the reins, make sure you're ready, and then you roll out when you're armored up, not just because you feel like antsy. And this is, listen, I'm preaching to the choir here because that was my thing. When I started this, I was like, damn it, why didn't I start this 5 years ago? And again, wasn't until a little while ago I can look at myself and say, you know what, D? You weren't ready 5 years ago. You were not ready. Your eyes had too much of a glint in them, a little too much dreamer, not enough reality, didn't have that work ethic built up yet, didn't have that thick skin, wanted to blame people. I wasn't ready. So I'm glad I didn't. So, I used to look at that as a failure. Now that's a positive. I've flipped it around. And I don't think that's just me trying to be like creative. It's just how it is, it's just kind of how I grew up. And I'm a late bloomer again, guys, 36, walking away from like, a recruiting career. And, right now I'm, detailing cars pretty much every day. And I love it because I know it's an important part of my business. I love importing these cars, but without some other stuff, it'd be too hard to start. You need some different, a table needs 4 legs, or in this case, a tripod needs 3. It's going to tip over. So I'm building up the leg that I can build up. Like I'm doing one-legged squats right now, getting that right leg super swole so that when I'm rolling out that brick and mortar, I have something to support to bring in some of that other stuff and build up that other leg so it doesn't atrophy and I don't look weird. I'm just walking in circles. But, I digress. Let's not talk about that anymore. But I'm just, been trying to get in the gym more. We'll just say that. But, yeah, man, that's where I'm at right now. That's where I'm at. So let me know what you think, A, B, or C. Again, hit me up on social about what you think the boutique vibe should be for the type of cars. Obviously, if you are in the market for bringing a car in, you have something you have your eyes set on, but you don't want to settle for inventory. You don't want to pay the markup in inventory because, yeah, I charge a fee, but it's a lot less than if I sold a car, retail. So you pay for it wholesale plus the fee, and you get the car you want. So, if you want to bring in a car, I can help you with that. Access to all the pictures, startups, like I said, like unlimited inspections, not just reading the report, but like actual hands and eyes on vehicle inspections, and then help until, you have that thing with the state title, so there's no concerns about what happens next, who to talk to, what to do. I'm here for you. So, hit me up if you have any of those needs. Or even, if you're curious, because I've had clients that I talked to 6 months ago and then just like hit me up recently, and I thought they just went away. But I spent the time with them, talked for like half hour or so, just talk cars, and then all of a sudden they're ready and, let's roll. Let's get the right cars on. Let's bring some more clean JDMs, into America. We can never have enough of them. Like, again, if you haven't driven one and someone with a right-hand drive car, go get in it. Just, again, the 2 main things. I'm going to title this. This is probably going to be titled as failure, just because, let's be real, it'll catch some attention. But I think I added enough meat and potatoes that, it's not just clickbait. But the other thing, I think the underlying tone of this episode is ask. Just ask. Just ask. It doesn't make anything you achieve less admirable if you asked and had some guidance. And that's listen, again, lesson learned. Because I would not ask anyone if I was in front of an absolute expert. If 5 years ago, importing guru wanted to just divulge all the secrets, I'd be like, no. I got it. I'd rather learn it on my own, because I'll probably do it better in my way. And yeah, get over yourself. I got over myself. So just ask, man. Just driving a right-hand drive. You'll love it. If you know someone that's in a business and you want to get in that business, don't think of like, they're not going to talk to me because I'm a competitor, because you're no threat to them. If they're good at it, you're no threat. And even if they're mediocre, you haven't started yet. You're just gathering knowledge, Let's just ask around. As corny as it sounds, man, it's been a huge help for me. I need to do it more. And that's why I like talking to you guys. That's why I like when I get the random phone calls asking questions. I get the random emails because it just it makes me feel a little more validated. You know what I mean? So thanks for that. So as always, thanks for listening. My friends, enjoy the day, enjoy the drive. Hit me up on social media with any of your questions. Again, it's at Elusive Auto Co, ELUSIVE Auto Co, on your main social media hubs. Detailing questions, if you're trying to get in the detail game, there's a lot of stuff I've been going through with just pricing and, again, trying to figure out where my focus for clientele will be, things like that. It's Elusive Auto Shine, which you guys helped me name. Thanks again for that. That was some episodes ago, but so Elusive Auto Shine on social. And as always, you can call me 412-301-7755 or email. It's Dante at Elusive Auto Co. Again, enjoy the drive, enjoy the day. Peace.